I watch a lot of bad movies, but let's just say The Killer Eye is on a whole new level. It's bad. Really bad. I mean, I had pretty low expectations going in. Heck, I've seen movies like The Crawling Eye, but this one is on a whole new level of torture. Don't believe me? Well, let's dive right in. It opens up looking pretty cheap, but promising enough. Dr. Jordan Grady is working in his lab and he needs a test subject. So he found this kid, aptly named Street Kid. Couldn't even give him a real name, huh, movie? Anyway, I think this kid is actually a prostitute because he says this.
You sure you wouldn't want to rather screw Doc? 'Cause,
Okay. Well, thankfully, that's not why the doctor asked him to be here. He needs someone to test out some eye drops he's created. The purpose of these eye drops? To allow you to see into the 8th dimension. Why 8? Can't we just start at 4 and work our way up from there? Anyway, Dr. Grady's wife, Rita, interrupts the experiment right after he puts the eye drops in. Apparently, she's got some huge inheritance because she's the one who funds all of her husband's work. And I think the entire apartment building, because as we see later on, none of the other characters in this movie have a job. They all just lie around doing drugs and tending to Rita's needs, which is what she's complaining about to her husband now.
What else do I want? How about sex?
We had sex last Thursday.
I'm not gonna beat around the bush. This chick is horny. All the time. It's all she thinks about. While they argue about their lack of a sex life, the eye drops kick in for our test subject. And he gets up to look inside this lens. That's something the doctor instructed him to do. When he does, something shoots into his eye. He stumbles back and then dies. But not before his eye pops out of his head and grows to be about 5 foot tall. What? Well, if you're confused, just wait. It gets crazier. Now we meet Tom and Joe. These guys are Rita's boy toys that she goes to when the doc is busy in his lab. I hope you like seeing these guys in their socks and underwear the whole time, because they never put clothes on for the entire movie. Anyway, these two stoners just lie around their apartment watching bad movies. Hey, is that Creepazoids? Which is another off-the-wall movie by the same director, David Dakota. Anyway, next we meet another couple living in the building, Morton and Jane. Mort is the doctor's assistant and helps him out whenever he calls, which just so happens to be right now, because he needs some help disposing of the street kid's body. While they're doing that, we hop over to Rita and her boys, who are doing what you would expect, but now the eye is watching. What a perv. This actually goes on for a really long time. Too long, and I started to get bored. So I looked up Rita to see what other movies she's been in. Well, no surprise, mostly adult movies, but her acting career goes all the way back to 1914. Wow, she looks good for her age. Anyway, Morton and Dr. Grady dump the body in the attic for some reason, and here we meet Creepy Bill, who sounds like he's just trying to do his best Beetlejuice impression.
Life's too short, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, you know.
Back to Rita, who's fallen asleep and unknowingly gets it on with the eye. You really had to go there, movie, didn't ya? I could have gone my whole life without seeing this. Anyway, it goes on for far too long and I again zoned out. This time noticing that the guy's walls are made from tarps. Peak set design. One guy does actually wake up, but the eye shoots him with a laser beam and knocks him back out. That's really the only thing this eyeball does. It goes around tentacling people and shooting them with lasers. But that only makes them pass out for a few minutes. at this point, you're probably wondering why there's a giant eye running around humping everyone. Well, this is the actual explanation the movie gives. The street kid not only saw into the 8th dimension, but opened up a portal and this thing slipped through and into his eye. They do have some tools that they can use to help track down this creature, so that's what Mort sets out to do. While Morton's looking around for the eye, it's looking at his wife. Oh, come on. You would totally feel that. How does she not know it's there? As you would expect, the eye gets it on with Jane. Great. Moving on. Bill finds the kid in the attic, and he tries to blackmail the doctor. Morton's eyeball radar goes off when he gets close to Rita because, well, you know. And Jane finally gets out of the shower and lays in bed. This time, the eye at least turns on some music to set the mood. Morton comes home and the eye shoots them both with lasers. But this time, instead of knocking them out, the lasers just make them super horny. And I don't want to watch this movie anymore. Please, just make it stop. Thankfully, the lamp tips over and the bright light scares the eye away. The couple snap to and are a bit confused, but okay. The eye escapes to the attic and climbs back into the street kid. Rita comes up and thirsts on him for a while, which is equally as disturbing as a giant eye going around, because he's a kid. It literally says it in his name. Dr. Grady and Bill come up with a flashlight, which knocks the kid out. Without a body now, the eye fires lasers at everyone, and Rita now comes onto the eye, which honestly, at this point, I don't think she needed to be laser blasted to want to do it with it, but okay. Now Morton comes in with a light, and it finally runs away. Everyone talks for a while, and we find out just a little bit more about our creature. So yes, it's from the 8th dimension, but somehow the doctor knows that it's a hermaphrodite, so it can reproduce on its own. But only the male part of it came through the portal. So that's why it's going after women, to try to make more horny eyeballs. He also knows that the way this creature feeds is by possessing you and sucking your brain dry, which is what the monster's doing now, eating the brain of Joe. They missed a good opportunity here because these two guys are bumbling idiots to begin with. They should have starved the eye monster. They don't have any brains to suck dry in the first place. But I guess that would have been too clever for this movie. It's at this point they talk about calling the cops. But Dr. Grady won't have any of that. He knows that if the police show up and see all the dead bodies, that his little experiment is over. And he's worked too hard for that. So he blackmails everyone else, telling them that they'll all be accessories for murder, and they're going to have to deal with this themselves. He does have an idea that involves setting up a light trap that will hold the monster in place until he can be sucked back to his own dimension. So I guess he starts working on that. During this time, Rita admits to her husband that she hasn't been faithful. No duh. And that she wants a divorce. The only sensible thing to do here is to start making out. Good grief. Is he possessed by the eye now too? Well, no, he's not. He's actually working with the eye. Dr. Grady wants to help it bring more of its kind to Earth so that they can live amongst humans. But in the mind's eye, it just wants to take over the planet. The others figure out that the doctor isn't on their side, and a fight breaks out, with the eye's laser actually being able to do some damage now. The survivors manage to trap it into the light, and they send the doctor and the eye back to the 8th dimension. Just when they think it's all over, the girls get some cramps, and oh no, don't tell me they're pregnant with eye babies. Is this what my life has been reduced to? Watching horny eyeballs from the 8th dimension terrorize apartment buildings? And I know what you're thinking. You probably watched this review and thought, hey, that Rita chick's kinda hot. I bet you see her boobs a lot in this movie. And let me assure you that you do, but it is not worth it. The director, David Dakota, certainly has a vivid imagination. He's openly gay, which explains the Joe and Tom thing and their lack of clothes throughout the whole movie. But this blending of softcore porn and horror just isn't for me. The music is bad, the cinematography looks like late 90s garbage, and the acting is, well, horrible, with the exception of the doctor, who, for some reason, even though he's the bad guy, he's somehow likable. I actually really hope that this review doesn't catch on. I hope that I post it and it gets quickly forgotten about. Please, because if this goes viral, then I'm gonna have to search out and try to find more movies like it, and I am just not prepared for that. So do me a favor, don't like and subscribe, don't share, don't hit that bell button, and please don't watch The Killer Eye. I give it half a tarp wall out of 4.
And don't move until we have trapped the eye. You got that?
What if I gotta take a pee?
You hold it.